Welcome to the Maritime Executives podcast series, In the Know. I'm Tony Munoz, Editor-in-Chief. Our Executive Corner podcast will provide conversations with top executives concerning events and issues that are shaping our industry today. We will also bring you up to speed with the latest news and editorials covered by the maritime executive. Ladies and gentlemen, maritime executives around the world, today we're privileged to have Mike LaFleur. Mike LaFleur is the Chief Operations Officer for the Port of San Diego since 2019. San Diego is my hometown, so I love it very much. Mike oversees the real estate department, including the port operations, maintenance, engineering, construction, and the construction facilities. And he's also responsible for the maritime and cruise departments. A lot of a responsibility. And we thank you for taking your time out of your day and joining us for this important podcast about your port and about your area of trade. Tell us about your background.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Tony. Again, great to see you. Thanks for having me on the podcast. Been a long time reader of Maritime Executive, and going back to the old Fort Lauderdale time, I was there for about 30 or so years in Fort Lauderdale, probably right around the corner from your office when it was there.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, a little bit about myself, as you mentioned. Again, the Chief Operations Officer here at the Port of San Diego. I came here in 2019, actually, as the Vice President of Maritime. And since then have taken on larger roles and responsibilities to kind of oversee a larger part of the portfolio here in San Diego. But my career has always been maritime related. It really started with a degree in maritime transportation from Kings Point. From there, I used that license to go to sea. Went to sea with MSC and Chevron for about 8 years, obtaining my unlimited master's license, sailing through chief mate. Then decided to take an opportunity to come shoreside with a role with Seabulk Tankers as a commercial operations manager. Then for the next 10 years, spent some time with Seacor in multiple roles and opportunities, helping the organization develop their shipping services. Spent some time as the CEO of Seacor Island Lines, which was a vertically integrated warehouse, trucking, terminal, ship operator in the Bahamas and Caribbean. Also spent an opportunity as the Chief Operating Officer at Trailer Bridge. Seacor American Marine Highways, helped develop that marine highway program in the U.S. Gulf. Spent some time with Cross Gulf Railways, and basically any other logistics and shipping opportunity that the Seacor group was taking a look at, as well as tugs and barges down the Caribbean. So, like I said, it's been a career working in and around the maritime industry, really some great opportunities to collaborate with some great leaders in our industry. So really fortunate to have that experience. So then in 2019, decided to make the move over here to the Port of San Diego. They were looking for someone to head up the maritime side of the port. And I'm like, well, isn't that what a port normally is? But the Port of San Diego is pretty unique, right? We have maritime, but we also have a pretty large portfolio of other businesses that we run as a port. So having done almost 20 years in the private sector, it was a good fit for me to transition over to the district and bring that private sector experience to more of a public sector role here at the district, kind of as a standard port authority.
The Port of San Diego has recently invested in upgrading some infrastructure and electrification efforts. Tell us a little bit about these investments that are improved the port.
So we've done quite a significant amount of investments in electrification. If I think I could put a tally on it at this point in time, it's north of $227 million that we've put into some of those projects. We've received various state and federal grants over the last couple of years to help support some of those terminal infrastructure projects. A couple of them to highlight our National City Marine Terminal. We're really focused on some berth repairs there. The aged infrastructure that typically plagues most ports. We've been around since the early 60s in some of this development. We're trying to effectively shore up these critical berths and facilities. It's really a high priority for our business continuity. That specific berth rehabilitation is important for projects such as our M5 coastal connector. We're excited about that because we're working with the Oregon Shipping Group, the Port of Bellingham, MARAD's involved with that, as well as Caltrans, to open up a new coastal shipping corridor. It'll allow us to barge-based transportation for building materials, possibly containers and general cargo on the north-south route, right? Marine highways are representative of the highways that they mimic on land. This is the I-5 corridor, so it's the M5. This goal is to provide kind of the supply chain resiliency and reduce truck trips on this coastal connector. So there's infrastructure there. At our 10th Avenue Marine Terminal, we're progressing several zero emissions initiatives. We have electrical upgrades. Again, back to a 1960s built area, there's a lot of infrastructure required to upgrade in order to take on the electrical loads that are needed for a lot of this electrical infrastructure. So we're really leading in the nation with regard to port terminal electrification. But when you lead, sometimes you have to learn. And there's been a lot of learning experiences as we're growing all of this infrastructure to make sure we can operate this new technology that's coming in. Anything from cargo handling equipment, forklifts up to 50,000 pounds, battery electric yard trucks, electric top handlers, and then the associated fast chargers that are needed to keep those operating, right? It's a different technology. No longer can you bring in a diesel fuel truck, fuel everything up and go right back to it. You have to have plans in place for charging. We have some other infrastructure developments on a phase 2 redevelopment of our 10th Avenue Marine Terminal. This will include some on-terminal rail track replacement and realignment, some load capacity improvements, resurfacing of asphalt to concrete, as well as looking at some front gate realignment, just so that we can have improved cargo flow, customer experience, and lay down configuration in our terminal. So we're moving cargo quicker, more efficiently, and providing better service for our customers that are coming into the district. Well, we have another pretty neat one on electrification. It's a company by the name of SkyCharger has come in with a proposal, and we have a specific footprint for them, and they are going to be a electric truck charging hub. And we call it a hub because it's not just going to be charging. It'll be a facility in which we can do trucking as a service, or this provider can do trucking as a service. And it would be strategically located in between our 2 marine cargo terminals and proximity to the region's freeway networks, which I think is really important when we look at some of the initiatives and goals that we have for our terminals and for our region, is the advancement of electric trucks moving cargo not only in our terminals, but out of our terminals and out to distribution centers or their final delivery spaces. These type of electric cargo trucking hubs are going to be necessary for us to meet some of those goals, and we're leading the way in those here in San Diego.
The port and the commercial part of the shipping industry is critical to the supply chain for that area, versus trucks coming out of Long Beach and LA supplying San Diego like it once did many years ago.
Yeah, no, I think it's important that you make that key distinction, right? When you look at San Diego, we're right in the middle of downtown San Diego. I mean, our marine terminal sits outside of the Hilton Hotel. It's across the street from Petco Park. We have a community, the Barrio Logan, that is right outside of our front gates, right? So we're operating within our community. So we have to be very cognizant of that when we start to look at some of our initiatives with regard to emissions, cleanliness, being a good steward of our communities.
The maritime community continues to reduce its environmental footprint, and your port put out recently a maritime clean strategies report. Is this what we're speaking to?
It is, right? So this is kind of our guiding document that was adopted in 2021, and it's called the Maritime Clean Air Strategy, MCAS for
Okay.
short. And the principle behind that was to identify projects and initiatives that would help advance kind of the multiple concurrent goals that the district had, which I had previously kind of mentioned, really to improve environmental and public health through the cleaner air for all those that not only live in the communities, but also work. And as you will see in our parks, play around San Diego Bay. So while we're also supporting efficient, modern, and sustainable maritime business and operations. So it's twofold.
Right.
Keep business going, but also be cognizant of the impact that it has regionally.
Yeah.
We've made great progress. We just released the highlights report. As I mentioned,
Okay.
this was adopted in 2021, and we've made some significant progress on 80% of our objectives. And some of the emission sources that we're focused on are things such as cargo handling equipment, commercial harbor craft, shipyards, heavy duty trucks, our own vehicle fleets that we're operating, ocean going vessels, and rail. So those are the emission sources that are focused in this maritime clean air strategy. We alluded to it earlier. We've put forward between us and some of our partners over $227 million towards this electrical infrastructure, equipment, technology deployments, berth rehabilitation, and at berth emissions reduction equipment, both shore power and emissions capture and control systems. We brought in the first two all-electric mobile harbor cranes into the United States. They're Kone crane generation 6 mobile harbor cranes. We welcomed Crowley's E-Wolf, the first all-electric tug in the United States, a phenomenal piece of machinery here in San Diego. And we're preparing to shore power and commission the first plug-in for a RORO vessel at our National City Marine Terminal. We should have that accomplished within the next couple of weeks of the filming of this. So really excited for that milestone as well.
What types of cargoes are you receiving through your port?
Clearly, we have the big cousin to the north of us, right? The San Pedro Basin. But
Right.
we really see ourselves as a specialty cargo. And that's kind of where I think our advantage is at the Port of San Diego. We are the furthest south on the West Coast along our border. We're only about 8 miles north of the border with Mexico. You mentioned the Panama Canal to the south of us. So anything on that northbound leg, Port of San Diego could be its first stop. We also have a reasonable transit over to Asia. But we have, I think what we say is we're the nation's specialty cargo on the Pacific with regard to specialty cargo coming in from Latin America, Asia, and beyond. We're not a containerized port. We have natural deepwater harbor. We have easy access to regional freeways, on-dock rail service. So we have all of the benefits of a standard port. But what I think sets us apart is that we specifically target and look at and have a keen sense for specialty break bulk. Clearly, our RORO facility in National City brings in 1 out of every 8 cars that comes into the U.S. Is a pretty interesting statistic.
That is.
We handle a lot of dry bulk, both import and export, and our anchor on the containerized side is refrigerated cargo. We bring that in via containers, but we also have refrigerated warehousing on our terminal as well for anything that may come in via break bulk. To help support all of that, again, our 2 all-electric mobile harbor cranes with a 400-ton lift capacity. I think pretty certain it's still, at the time of this publishing, the heaviest lift capacity on the U.S. West Coast. Dual cranes also allow us for faster offloading speeds to be able to support break bulk cargo, specialty cargo, yachts, heavy equipment, specifically to be able to also support some of the electrification needs around the state and the region with regard to heavy project cargo, solar, and the wind power. It also helps us to support our shipyards that are here. We have multiple shipyards that are here supporting not only the military, but the commercial fleets. and a lot of their equipment, especially big main engines and so on, the needs for this heavy lift has really come in handy in helping to support them.
For the longest period of time, NASCO was the big shipyard there, and it did all the national defense. Are there other ones that have been developed?
We do. So we have kind of Shipyard Row in between our 10th Avenue Marine Terminal and our National City is where the majority of our shipyards are. And we have really four main shipyards that are in that area: BAE, Continental, NASCO, and our more recent is Austal. They branched out here onto the West Coast, and they're here to help support mostly the military and the LCS class as they built those out of Alabama. Yep.
That's right. That's right.
And it's a tremendous workforce. When you look at the skilled trade that's in our region, the value that they bring to our military, the value they bring to the commercial sector as well. I mean, those shipyards are busy. They're humming every day and great jobs. It's a huge economic impact to the San Diego region.
So you're responsible for all of the facilities in San Diego and this at the port.
Yeah, so from a background, the bay itself is about 50 miles of shoreline. The Port of San Diego is responsible for 34 of those.
Okay.
The other 16 is federal. It's the U.S. government. It's either Navy, maybe the Coast Guard. So we have a partnership with them. But yes, 34 miles of that, anything from marinas, yacht clubs, restaurants, hotels front, our marine terminals, our maritime industrial we just spoke about, parks, promenades, retail, convention centers, everything on that is part of the Port of San Diego. And, I'm blessed with the opportunity to oversee both our real estate side of it as a landlord and then our operational side of it with regard to maintenance, construction.
Also San Diego is a strategic national defense port. As I grew up there was the Navy, there was Miramar, there was Top Gun flying over us all the time. And tell us about some of the capabilities that the port provides for the Navy.
So there's 18 strategic ports within the U.S. We are one of those 18. And it is a designation that we take seriously, that we really operate in a fashion that creates a partnership with our armed forces, right? On the bay, we typically have mostly Navy, and that's the interaction we have because they're waterborne assets. But as a strategic port, we are called upon to help support Army backloads, Marine Corps, some Air Force items. Basically, it's cargo moving in and out of the West Coast will be designated to these strategic ports on an annualized basis. And I think we're one of the most utilized on the West Coast. We help typically support about 2 major deployments and 2 smaller deployments every year. That's on just the standardized movement of cargo. As a strategic port, though, we are designated to be ready to help support the nation in the event of any type of national security event in which we have to be able to give up a certain amount of acreage on a very short notice to ensure that we have to support the movement of goods. So, operationally, our team is ready for that. We have plans in place. We have agreements in place that allow us to be able to turn the switch and make sure we're there as a strategic port to help support our national defense and national security.
And a lot of people who have never been to San Diego are not familiar with the fact that there's a major Marine base, training base, just part of just north of San Diego, and it's probably one of the finest training facilities for the Marine Corps in the world, and it's right there in your backyard.
Yeah, no, there's a tremendous input from the military here in San Diego. Not only you have Naval Base Coronado, you have Point Loma, you have Naval Base San Diego, MCRD, which you're referencing, Marine Corps Recruiting Depot. We have Air Station Miramar, which has the air show this weekend, by the way, which should be fun. That's right up in the Scripps Ranch area. So, when you look at the impact and the support and the partnerships that regionally organizations have to have with the military. You know, Port of San Diego is right up there with them. We not only share our bay with them, we share our strategic port designation. We share this growth in the community as a whole. So definitely a great partner to have here in the region.
So let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about the cruise line business. One of my favorite things to do is cruise around the world, and San Diego has become a cruise port for many enthusiasts. Tell us about that development.
At Port of San Diego, I mean, we really are seeing an upward trajectory. I think, you know, we may have seen each other actually last in Sea Trade last April. And when you have conversations with the cruise lines, when you're hearing the generalized trend within the industry, it's pretty bullish. And I think we're seeing that in San Diego. Next season, we're expected to reach about 190 calls, up to 800,000 passengers. For San Diego, that's a big season. We haven't seen those type of numbers since 2007, 2008 season.
Yeah.
Primarily, those are coming from the addition of Norwegian Home Port, which is starting this season. Next season, we'll have Royal Caribbean Home Port. We have Holland America here, and some of that growth will be from Disney's expanded service, a little bit of growth in their portfolio as well. So we're really excited to see that growth. We're excited to see our returning visitors come into San Diego Bay and the waterfront. But, you know, the cruise industry is a huge economic driver for San Diego region, right? Absolutely. There's anywhere between $125 to $250 million in regional economic impact from the cruise industry, right? And that will continue to grow as we see some of these home ports and visitations come to San Diego. We have great partners on our cruise lines, really looking forward to that continued growth with them. We talked a little bit about infrastructure on the cargo side, but we also recognize that the growth and development is going to be needed on our cruise industry as well. And they're going to demand that not only from the cruise lines, but the passenger experience. So we've had some really good discussions with our cruise lines and some interested parties for the development of our cruise facilities. So we'll be looking to develop a path forward in the near future. So we want to stay relevant in the cruise business. I personally think we have one of the best locations for cruising passengers. When you look at being a mile from the airport, it's almost walkable from the airport, and our weather's so good all the time that some people do. And then you literally step outside of our terminal and you're in the central Embarcadero, right along the waterfront. You got restaurants, museums, parks, hotels, easy transportation. I really can't think of a better front doorstep for cruise industry than San Diego.
So, being an ex-San Diego person and traveling there recently, the airport.
Yeah.
The airport.
So you were here very recently then?
Yeah, I was just here recently. I had to go and see Mom, and so I flew in. I arrived at midnight, went to La Jolla, spent the night, and drove out. But the airport, it's so small. I mean, it's the same airport that I grew up with. What are there any plans? I know once upon a time they were going to move it out to off the waterfront and move it out to some place near Santee or some place like that. That was the big dream then, but that's a small airport for the amount of airplanes that come in.
It is, you know, and I'll mention a couple things about the port. So the airport and the port were one entity at one point in time. They did split off sometime in the 2000s. I don't know the date to it, but you know, so it's its own entity now. But we do still have a strong relationship with the airport. We have a harbor police department at the district, and we provide all of the officers that help support the airport operations from a security standpoint. And then we also have a continued relationship because we're bringing in tourists, we're bringing in cruise passengers, we're bringing in those coming to Seacor waterfront through the airport for a lot of that. So We're in constant communication with the airport on things that they're doing and happening. But you're right. I believe, and the statistic is might be the busiest single runway airport in the nation for sure. The amount of aircraft that are coming in on a one runway airport. They just did do a Terminal 1 redevelopment upgrade that is grand opening right now-ish. It might have done a soft opening, maybe grand opening is coming up, but that's definitely going to help on the movement. It had some roadway realignments that were adjoining our areas of responsibility as well. So we're happy to see that development is wrapping up. And I think it's just going to be a great add to San Diego as a whole for not only the region, but also for our cruise business. I think it's going to have a good impact.
So it's a one
runway. That's right. I think it's actually a 9270. Yeah. Well, single runway.
And then you don't share it with the military at all?
No. So the majority of the military is coming into North Island.
Okay. Final thoughts, please.
Yeah, couple final thoughts, Tony, and thanks. There's so much to talk about when it comes to the Port of San Diego as a whole. And I think I focused today, and rightly so, on the maritime sector of it. So we have a tremendous blue economy incubator. We didn't spend a lot of time, if at all, talking about that. It's just something unique about the Port of San Diego where we help foster innovation in the blue economy, which is a tremendous program. It's run by a phenomenal group of people here at the Port of San Diego. So we have that. We talked about electrification, how San Diego's leading the way on it, looking at infrastructure. So I would just say as a parting words and some last comments is feel free to reach out to the Port of San Diego, be it if you're a business looking to do new innovative ideas, if you're a cargo owner, if you're a steamship line and you want to see what Port of San Diego has to offer, just reach out. We have a breadth of knowledge. It's a great portfolio, amazing facilities. Don't think that there's anything that we can't do here in San Diego. We'd like to be a leader in a lot of industry. So we can be either lessons learned or help you get through projects that you're working on at your ports, for instance. By all means, we're always here to try to help and lessen the learning curve and learn from others as well. So I guess I would leave it with that.
Thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate it, Tony. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.